to record yet. The machine tells me it's recording. I want to do a little exercise with everybody because it's our last session, and just to do a bit of, I suppose, consolidation of thinking around what we've covered and the like. I'm going to give you a few minutes, and what I want you to do is think about just one thing. You've probably got many, but one thing that you really remember from the course content, or something that you really liked or found interesting, or something even that you maybe not sure about or disagree with. Just really one sort of takeaway, or maybe something that you can't drive past this now without thinking of it, or the like. So one takeaway, one interesting thing from the course. So I'll give you a good few minutes to have a think about that yourself, and then type it into the chat. And of course, because we want to give out some more prizes in our last session, I've picked 6 random ones. Definitely not the 6 most important takeaways from the course, but 6 sort of key or 6 bits from the course. And if you match one of those, we'll give you a prize. So have a think through, think back about what we've covered, different road users and the like, and then just type them in. Just one thing into the chat, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to just have a think about that and then type something. Oh, and I think we've got a hand up, do we there, Catherine?
Yeah, we do. From Stuart.
Oh, that's good. Well, we'll get in there and give Stuart the ability to have a chat to us.
Sure, I'll just unmute you there, Stuart.
Or you can, yeah, Stuart's going to have to unmute himself, but we've given you the ability to unmute himself.
There you go.
Unless it was an accidental hand up from Stuart. Well, Stuart, if you wanted to have a chat, ask a question, say something, you've got the ability to unmute yourself at the moment. I think it might have been an accidental
it might have been.
Hit of the button. Oh, no, hang on, here we go. Hello, Stuart. No.
May have been an accident.
Oh.
Oh, no, we can hear you typing, Stuart.
Yep, okay. Oh, he's muted himself. I think it was an accidental. I'm going to, oh, yeah, there we go. We've popped Stuart back there, but it is a reminder that if anybody does want to talk, you're more than welcome to do that. Just pop your hand up the way Stuart did, potentially accidentally, but that's all right. And yeah, we can unmute, you can have a chat. All right, what are we seeing coming in there, Catherine?
Yeah, we've got some good points here. Just to, oh, geez, there's loads. Just trying to work out how to unmute Stuart, and all this great content came through. Just really enjoyed how each road user is considered. So separately looking at pedestrians, motorbikes, cyclists, cars. They can never go past roadworks without giving them a mini RSA audit. I think that's a good point. The severity guidance sheet, the science and facts behind speeds and results. So, good point. Pedestrian crossings, facing of signs, road markings. The importance of a diverse team. Someone's really enjoyed your moustache there, Ken. Sight distance at intersections and turning path. Mitch also really enjoys your moustache. Think of yourself in the situation of all road users making each movement. I love this one. And the correct roundabout sign.
Yes.
Thinking about what the road user, all types of road users might experience to determine potential issues and risks, putting yourself in their shoes. From the first session, the continuous lines of trees and power poles making it look like the road continues straight. I keep noticing that around network. It's a good one. Psychology, perceptions, effects of road safety, pedestrian desire lines, see-through effect, illusions of safety, signage interpretation, and separating out the primary and secondary recommendations.
Yeah.
Inquisitive about the relationships between the MO and the RSA.
Yes.
The S curves about speed and likelihood of fatality.
Yeah.
And it's important to see what we do in Tasmania is not too far off the wall from the rest of Australia, given we are all well down under.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Some really good stuff in there, and it always makes me happy to to see that people are picking up things and getting some good ideas, and that was that was really good. I did say I'd give out some prizes. So let's see if you had any of these. What do we got? Okay. All right. So reactive versus proactive. I don't think anybody had that. Dynamic visual structural mind. No, I don't think anybody had that. Bicycle friendly grades. These are very specific ones. People had some more general ones. Pedestrian desire lines. I heard that in there. Somebody had the brackets, including pedestrian desire lines. I think it was Stuart, maybe. So there's a prize there. Sharrows, no. Severity of injury, though, that came up a couple of times. Somebody talked about the curves. Somebody talked about the graded sheet with some ability to do that. As I say, these 6 are not the most important necessarily. I just sort of picked along a few takeaway points along the sessions because I think some wonderful stuff came in there from others. So thank you. So Catherine will take notes there of some prizes, no doubt, for people.
I sure will.
Great.
Good points, everyone.
Now, today's session is all about the administration, the policy around road safety auditing around Australia and New Zealand, the legal liability issues, and sort of really the process of, engaging auditors, getting audits done, and those sorts of things. So we're less now in the mechanics of how to do audit, what to look for, how to think about things, how to risk rate, and we've moved on now, and we're going to talk about the general process. Now, this is a shorter session, as you would have seen in the notes, so it's only scheduled for an hour and a half. And within even that hour and a half, we do have a lot of time allocated for answering your questions and going down different avenues that you are interested in. So, as per usual, feel free to write that into the chat, but also do feel free to put your hand up, and then we can have a bit of a chat about a specific topic if you've got an interest. So really in your hands for quite a bit of this, and I'll talk to different things. I may, bring up other documents if that can help in the discussion, or show you websites or the like. So please do have a think about that. I also do have a few extra case studies of actual road safety audit issues and the like, which I will show if we don't have too much other discussion. But really a lot of time allocated to answer your specific questions. It's also a good opportunity if you do have questions around the road safety audit that you're currently undertaking, the training exercise one. So if you've come across a specific thing you're a little confused by, it's probably good to bring up because others may come across the same thing. or any process admin style things around this course and finishing everything off. And near the end, I will take you back into Moodle and show you the last few things you need to complete to get that certificate, and then how you go about registering on different registers, which is very much part of these slides as well. So hopefully that makes sense, but please be active in writing your questions, comments into the chat, or putting your hand up, and we'll go from there. Now, I'm predominantly going to be talking about Victoria, South Australia, Northern Territory, Queensland, Tasmania. I should add Tasmania to that list. New South Wales, I'm not going to talk a lot about it at the moment. We've just got our course. We'll put that in for them to approve. We haven't gone down that track in the past, but I'll explain a little bit more about that later. Okay, so the end of this module, we want you to know the requirements in different jurisdictions for road safety auditor accreditation. Understand. Excuse me. Hang on a second. Understand the process for registering in Victoria, South Australia, and I'll chuck in Queensland as well. Tassie and Northern Territory don't have registers, or New Zealand. I'll explain that a little bit more. And we're going to talk a little bit about legal liability, legal risks as auditors or those procuring audits, so road authorities or developers or the like. So I'm going to start with those legal issues, and then we'll come back and swing around to registration, accreditation, and qualifications and those sort of things. So I put a little disclaimer down the bottom. I'm not a lawyer, and you should be seeking your own legal advice. But what I'm going to talk to you about is my experience in different legal aspects of road safety auditing over the last 20 years, from being in a road authority, managing the whole audit process for the state, also getting audits procured on my infrastructure jobs, and then from a consultant perspective and advising Austroads and legal cases and the like. So I'll give you a few insights, but yeah, if you should get your own advice. But I really sort of distilled this down to some possible issues for auditors. So you're going to finish this course soon, and you're going to get a certificate, and then you're going to get yourself on a register of road safety audits, and then you could go out and do road safety audits, be part of a road safety audit team. So what are some of the legal possible legal issues for you as an auditor, or your company if you're auditing from within a company? So the first one on there is what we call a client-focused audit. And this is where I'll use a hypothetical scenario. There's a big, maybe massive new hardware chain coming into the Australian market. And so they're buying up all these big bits of land and building massive warehouses, and of course then accessing onto the public road network, be that the local roads or the local roads or the arterial state roads. And of course the road authority in their planning permits are saying, well, you've got to get a road safety audit done within that. And in most jurisdictions, that sort of whole process is handed over to the developer to find the auditors, commission the audit, take the audit findings, respond to those, and put that whole package back to the road authority, and they can look at it. So the fear is that the developer will sort of be saying, we don't want anything that's going to cost money, and it's make sure it's only signs and lines that you make comment on in this, and remember that we've got another 500 of these stores coming across Australia, so there'll be plenty of auditing for you to do as long as you're not causing us any headaches and the like. Now, I'm embellishing this idea to prove the point, but the idea is that it is meant to be independent, and it is meant to be a reporting on issues that you see and frank, fearless advice. It does get complicated because often the person paying the bill is the person receiving the report. So there's that oddity there, but it could be an issue. It's a possible issue. Now, admittedly, I did a review of 250 audits in Victoria. Well, this was about 15 years ago, but at the time, I couldn't find any evidence of any of this happening. Poor audits, yes, and probably from lack of experience or not getting the best team together, but not actually, anything that we believed was down that line. But I flag it with you. So inadequate brief. Obviously, you're not writing the brief as an auditor. Somebody's giving you a brief, but if you looked at what you were given as a brief and it was very inadequate and you weren't seeking more information, that could be brought back on you a bit. Misleading your qualifications or experience, and I mean this is across the board. This is not just for auditing, but if you were to say you were a senior road safety auditor and you weren't on a register as a senior road safety auditor, or if you claim to have 10 years road design experience or something and you don't have that, of course that's going to leave you open for some legal issues should something arise. Then not following the correct process. Okay, so and correct process is an interesting one, and this has been played out a little bit in the legal settings, but day and night time inspection, if the client has requested the nighttime. I mean, it's been pretty clear that you have to do some sort of inspection. So visiting the site, it's pretty hard to argue that you've done a road safety audit without visiting the site and you've followed correct process, because it's very clear in the Austroads guide, and every jurisdiction includes a site visit as part of requirements of audit. Occasionally, the client doesn't want that nighttime or doesn't believe that will add value, and that's what in your scope of works as an auditor, okay. But certainly, not visiting the site is one. And then organisations have their own quality management systems and processes and checks that should go on. And so if you haven't followed that, obviously that would be something that a prosecuting lawyer would be able to find. And then you're held to this thing called a reasonable assessment. Now, what is reasonable? That always comes up in these cases. Would your peers have picked up this issue? Has it been a reasonable effort at a road safety audit? And that one really just has to sort of play out in the legal system. So let's go to if you are somebody who is procuring a road safety audit. So you're either the road authority or you're the one who's commissioned this audit. If you're intentionally holding back information that could help the auditor do a comprehensive road safety audit, that could be flagged as an issue. If you are requesting recommendations, either recommendations are there or not there, again, you're sort of influencing the independence of the audit. Now, that one gets a little bit murky sometimes, because often an audit's been commissioned because of a specific issue, like maybe a secondary audit or there's a concern about something, and so they've commissioned this road safety audit for that independent view and set of eyes. So flagging an issue of concern that's generally okay, but actually demanding it be a recommendation or include this and don't include this or the like, that's not on. And then it really comes to the duty to consider recommendations. So you've received the audit report and there are recommendations in it, as almost all jurisdictions hand over those recommendations. And you really have to accept, reject, defer. And it's up to you as the receiver of the report. You don't need to accept all the recommendations. You may not have the budget to action the recommendations. You may want to do something else to manage risk, but you have to sort of document these. This is a big one. This is what the lawyers like to call this one the smoking gun. If they can find an audit report that was never actioned, that's the prosecuting lawyer's dream. Yeah. So doing something with that report and documenting it and holding it there. Means of prioritizing is an interesting one. So that's more around choosing actions to do. I'll tell a little story about, I was working in the Victorian government in Vic Roads, and road safety auditing was really quite an established thing, and there was and road safety was gaining more and more importance, and there was this idea that we would undertake road safety audits of all arterial roads in the state. And this was just party time for consultants. I mean, there was just so many audits to do. It was insane. And the audit reports just started stacking up. And it was, a halt was called on this, because what was happening is just thousands and thousands and thousands of issues were being identified. And there was minimal funding available, and it wasn't really getting some sort of logical prioritization to rectify these. They were just coming in ad hoc to the regions, and then the regions were looking in their budgets of instantaneous rectification budgets, which the regions used to have. They don't have now, for little tweaks that they could do. But the courts are frown very heavily upon a lack of systematic risk-based prioritization of investment. They completely understand lack of funds. That is absolutely understood. But ad hoc addressing of things is very much frowned upon. So what should happen is that they're risk rated, as they usually are in the audit. So you've got a kind of risk rating, then they're put into a central thing, and there's funding, and you work your way down. Now, I mean, I advise against these massive amounts of existing conditions road safety auditing for exactly this reason. And I say, no, filter down using other risk metrics to find your roads of higher risk, and then you might get into auditing those for looking for particular issues. But it's not a great sort of filtering tool of a massive amount of network, because there's just so much work involved, and you get so many issues. And so I occasionally do see it as a council comes to this, and it's all from a really good place. They're saying we want to, road safety is important. Road safety audit is a good tool. Let's audit all of our roads. But I discourage them from doing that and say, well, let's help you narrow this down to which roads you'll actually get value. So instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars spent auditing, let's spend a smaller amount auditing the roads that are higher risk, and then use some of that money to start rectifying things. Anyway, so means of prioritizing, some sort of system for that. And then, just again, a reasonable process is what you're held to account for. What is reasonable? The courts will decide that, like organisations, and having processes in place and utilising best practice where possible. So I'll pause there and see if anybody has any questions around, potential legal issues with auditing, either as the auditor or the client. And I'll let you either type that in, or you put your hand up if you want to have a chat about that. I suppose one thing that I recommend heavily is that any organisation, be that a local government or a state road authority, has a road safety audit policy. The reason for this is probably one that sits in that means of prioritisation a little bit, is when this one's most common for local governments, but occasionally it happens at a state government level. But when there's works happening at one intersection, and the project manager of that is somebody who knows about road safety audits, and they engage a road safety auditor at the design stage and it's looked at. But the intersection, over there is getting work by another project manager, and they've never heard of road safety audit, or they don't, or they don't think much of it, or whatever it is, and it doesn't happen. And so you're sort of like, oh, why did it happen there but not there? And that again is this sort of lack of process within that organisation. So most road authorities have a policy which has some sort of determination of risk at that high level. Most often it's done by total estimated cost of project, and it triggers the need for audits, road safety audits at different stages. So certainly state governments have that as a requirement. Often they have it in their business rules. It must be done at different stages. A lot of local governments don't. And I think that's a significant risk for local governments, in the sense that they are really ad hoc when they're doing road safety audits and when they're not. Victorian government was, I suppose, criticised by the coroner at one point back in the day, and I was in the road safety department at the time, and it was associated with developer funded work. So the processes for road safety audit were pretty good for works that Vic Roads was doing on Vic Roads roads, and was actually quite good for works that councils were doing on with Vic Roads funding, or that councils were doing on Vic Roads managed areas, so footpath works or the like. But developers were just sort of slipping through the net to a degree in terms of new subdivisions. There was the planning permit, which was saying you must build a auxiliary right turn lane and the like, and it must meet these standards and guidelines and the like. But there was no road safety auditing embedded in that developer funded works requirement. And so, there was a fatality, unfortunately, and it was a subdivision site that was built, and the intersection had not been subject to a road safety audit, and there were deficiencies. And like any crash on the road network, there's many contributing factors, but the coroner determined that the road, the way it was constructed and the design of it, contributed to that crash. So that's, it's very concerning. And as a result, there was the inclusion of developer-funded works into the Victorian government's road safety audit policy to ensure that those works are also getting that independent review as well. So when we did the recent updates to the Austra's Guide to Road Safety Part 6, Road Safety Audit, we put a draft or a template road safety audit policy in the back. We did this to try and make it as easy as possible for local governments to just pick that up, have a look at it, insert their council's name in, pop it up the line, hopefully get it approved, and it gets them a nice process in place. But if you sign up to that process, you've got to follow it. Any questions come in there, Catherine? Anybody?
Not at the moment, Ken.
Okay,
good to go.
But yes, please, everybody, if you do think of something, we can swing back to the legal liability stuff at any point. But I'm going to talk to you about accreditation. Accreditation as road safety auditors. So what I did was, remember to catch your wallies as well. What I did was prepare this this sheet, and it's an A4 sheet. It's on your memory stick. It's in Moodle, and it covers all jurisdictions and their requirements. for registration as a road safety auditor or accreditation. So essentially what I'm talking about here is your individual qualification, you as an individual. It doesn't matter if you move organizations, move interstate, whatever it is, this is you. What do you sort of carry? So you'll get a certificate at the end of this course. And the certificate is just proof that you have successfully completed the course. It doesn't actually put you onto a register. So you need to go that extra step. And it'll depend where you want to do road safety audits or which register you want to get onto. So some people like to get on the register just to be on the register, and then they can put it on their CV and say, I'm an accredited road safety auditor or the like. Some people, want to do it because they want to get out and do road safety audits, whatever you want. But I've put this in here for all the states. I've just got a few on this slide. You can have a look at the others if you want, or I'm happy to elaborate on specific jurisdictions if you've got a particular interest. So just type in if your jurisdiction isn't there. But I'll talk through Victoria, Queensland, and South Australia, and I'll just briefly do that. So in Victoria, as I mentioned in one of the earlier modules, to become a road safety auditor, you need to complete an approved course. So this is one of the approved courses. And then you need to show that you work in the field of road safety, road design, traffic management, road safety engineering, road user behaviour, anything like that. It's basically, are you working in the industry? Now, from seeing all of your registrations and where you're from and everything like that, I can tell you now you all meet that minimum requirement. So if you pass this course, you've met minimum requirements in Victoria. And then you will go and apply to go on this register. Now, the Victorian government has just recently implemented an e-learning module they want every auditor to undertake as well, which is ensuring that they understand how the SAFE system fits into road safety audit. Now, you're at a significant advantage here because our course, replicates a lot of that. We're in this interesting transition phase where they've said, in a year's time, anybody who completes our course, they don't have to do the e-learning module because we know it's satisfied, but they want to make sure we have this transition period. So you're probably going to have to do that e-learning module, but it's not too taxing. And as I say, you'll be pretty well placed to do it because all this practice you've been doing is exactly what's in there. To graduate, so then you'll be put onto this register as a road safety auditor. To graduate up to senior road safety auditor status, you need to have 5 years experience in that road design, traffic transport management, road safety engineering, or road user behaviour sort of field. So you can't. So you have to be at least 5 years into your career, and you have to undertake 5 road safety audits, including 3 at design stage, under the guidance of a senior road safety auditor. And then you will go up and be classified as a senior road safety auditor. And then you are required to do 1 audit per year to maintain that senior auditor status. So Queensland's very similar, except for they have this requirement of 5 years experience to be a road safety auditor. And they want you to have done 1 road safety audit, which sort of you'd have to be an observer or something on the audit team. You've got to have been part of that. And they include traffic engineering as a specific one and sort of related road safety discipline, which is very generic. South Australia, very, very similar to Victoria, except for just a few different things. Now, South Australia doesn't actually publish their road safety auditor list. They publish just their senior road safety auditor list. And I think the reason for that is that you can't undertake a road safety audit without a senior auditor. So you can be the auditor under the guidance of a senior auditor or as part of the audit team with a senior auditor. So I'll just run through that again with a few pictures. So we've got those two categories of road safety auditor and senior road safety auditor. I could swap those photos around because it's not about age, it's about that, experience within that field. And this course or an equivalent and some experience, which I say you all meet. This is for Victoria. And senior is this course, 5 years experience and 5 road safety audits under the guidance of a senior auditor. So in Victoria, the website you'll go to, and this one you should jot down somewhere, when we send you out electronic copy of your certificate or the summary, we'll send you a link to this anyway, but this is where you're going to go. www.vrsa.com.au. And this is what it looks like. And it's a website. I actually set this up about 12 years ago. And I got in a lot of trouble for setting up a VicRoads website off the VicRoads Victorian government's thing, but I just couldn't bring myself to go through the many years worth of process to try and integrate it into the government system. So just did it off on the side. It's still going, operating beautifully. So there you go. But anyway, the first thing you're faced with is this disclaimer. And the disclaimer says, hey, there's a big list of road safety auditors on here, and we can't guarantee any are any good. All we can guarantee you is that they've gone through a course, that they've got these requirements, and you need to decide whether you want to engage them. So, there is no real test of competency or the like apart from what the courses do. Now, a lot of courses out there don't have tests and aren't marking the audits, or they used to, and some still floating around that do. So it's sort of the concern is people can sort of just coast through and then get themselves on this register. But it's really, I suppose, saying, just like an engineering degree or like you. Okay, they've got through uni, but we can't guarantee that they're any good. Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But you do your own investigation. So you click agree and continue. Where's my mouse gone? Yeah, there. So then you're faced with this page, and you've got some nice options there across the top. You can search for auditor, you can register as an auditor, you can sort of log into your account, disclaimer again, you can contact the managers of this, which is ARB, just do the back end, and some more stuff down here. But let's go to registering as a road safety auditor, which I encourage you to do. I think it's a good thing to do. And you'll go there and you'll say, do you want to register as a road safety auditor or a senior road safety auditor? Now, most of you will be going for that road safety auditor, unless you've maybe been doing audits in other states and you're doing this as a refresher course or the like, or you've been doing them in other countries or something. But most of you will go road safety auditor and you'll click on that, and then you'll go into this bit and you'll put some information in. So your name, your organisation, and the like. But I do point out that you can hide information from the public. So if you don't want your details to be made public, hit the hide. You can still be on the register. You're just not appearing to the public in that. So you plug all that information in, and then you lodge it. You lodge that with the certificate, and they will review it, and then you'll be added to the register. And then you have the ability to sort of log back in and add different information and the like, which I'll show you shortly. So vrsa.com.au. So this is also where people can search for road safety auditors. And so there's a search button and you click on that. And you can search in there by name, by organisation, by required expertise. Now, you've got to take this with a grain of salt because it's self-populated. So a lot of people just tick everything because they don't want to miss out if a filter comes and these sort of things. So just be aware of that. It's not in some independent person is putting that or any requirements. So yeah, just beware. But then you sort of scroll down and you've got a list. And in Victoria, you know, we're sort of around 500 people on this list. I'd say probably only maybe 100 of them actually do road safety audits. A lot of have got on the list and they're happy to be on the list. They don't actually do audits. This will probably be whittled down quite a bit with this e-learning module because people have to do something else. You see there, lots of people, organisation, email, phone number, status. You can see a few are pending. So that's probably because they've either submitted recently and somebody's just reviewing it, or yeah, actually that'll be what it is. That they've submitted something, either their initial application or they've put in some new information and somebody's reviewing it. So let's have a look at me. I'll use myself as an example here. I've got some old snips of me. You can look live if you want. This is what the public will see. Status active, senior road safety auditor, contact details. Some sort of bit of a CV. So this you put in because you are just ensuring that, well, this is when they've asked that question of, are you working in the industry or you got 5 years experience, you put that in. And remember, you can hide this from the public. Road safety auditor expertise. Okay, so there you go. I've got lots of boxes ticked. I have been doing it for about 20 years, but still didn't, I refused to tick this worksite traffic management plan one. I've done them. I've been involved in them. I just don't feel I have that expertise that some of my colleagues do. So I don't tick those ones. And the other category I didn't tick as well, that was in there just in case there was something else that arose that we wanted to put in. Regions available to work is a Victorian thing, and it's just different Vic Roads regions, or old Vic Roads regions. Have all changed names now, had DOT regions, but just in case somebody only wanted to work in the west of the state or something. And then this is all that they see in terms of audits that you've completed and uploaded information about. So you simply people will see the location of the audit, what your part of the team was. So in this one, I was the senior road safety auditor and team leader. The date it was undertaken, the client, and then what stage it was. So stage 1 is that feasibility, stage 2 is preliminary, stage 3 is detailed, and so on. And that's when you're in there, it gives you more information. And this one had a specific bicycle focus. So it's actually the shared path from Anderson to San Remo, for those who know it. So wandering the paddocks there, looking at alignments with a colleague and imagining the bike path being built. So that's all people are going to see. Behind the scenes, when you're uploading information about audits, you actually give a referee, the person who engaged you to do the audit. You've got to give a name and contact details. If they want to audit the auditors, they will then contact that person to check, was Ken Muir involved in this audit? That's probably about all they'll ask, because they have never delved into the quality of the audit. It'll just be, was it undertaken? Now they may at some point decide to jump into the quality space and say, can you send the audit report and we'll review it and the like, but for now it's just that. Now, Catherine, any questions coming in? I see a couple of things lighting up.
Yeah, just going back to being accredited as a road safety auditor, sorry. If I'm in Queensland and don't have the 5 years of experience, can I still apply to be a road safety auditor once I get to that point, or do I have to repeat the training?
no, you don't have to repeat the training. So you just got to get your 5 years of industry experience. And they're fairly relaxed, I suppose, on what that industry experience actually, how it's come about. So, you know, if you've done different roles, they're generally pretty accepting of whatever it is that you've done. My recommendation would be to get on the Victorian register. So you've got a registration because that's doesn't have that 5 years of experience requirement, or the South Australian register as well. So you've got that immediately as a qualification as such. Technically, if you're doing audits in Queensland, you have to be on the Queensland register, so it doesn't help you there, but you've got, you know, you're starting the process and the ball rolling. Now, I should flag that there's an Austroads project currently underway, which is reviewing this and trying to get some national harmonisation, because, you know, I had to make a big sheet of all the differences, and it's quite a little minefield there, and they're trying to iron that out. But it's like any harmonisation project. There's, you know, the Western Australians have got, you know, these requirements which they're huge. They're requirements in terms of getting onto the Western Australian Register of Road Safety Audits. I haven't even taken you through that yet. Or I know I really wasn't intending to, but it's a course. It's then a year worth of mentoring with a auditor. It's continuing professional development requirements of like multiple other courses that you have to do. There's a handful of other requirements. It's really intensive, and I think they've gone probably too far. Well, you know, you get really good quality road safety auditors, but you only get a few of them. And yeah, there was a point. So I was on their register. I have lapsed from their register. I was on their register and getting calls from Perth to fly from Melbourne to do a road safety audit of like a splitter ride. I'm like, this is insane. And I'm like, get somebody local. Like, that's just going to cost you a bomb. It doesn't make any sense. And they're like, the quickest I can get a local auditor is 3 months, and we need to start building this thing. So I don't want to see that. People will argue that Victoria is too easy to get onto the register. I prefer too easy, that we have lots of auditors, we have lots of availability, we have lots of people passionate about road safety who have done, you know, have got this idea. I'd love them all to be quality, but anyway. So it's hard to find those balances, and it's hard to get national consistency in that sense. Great question, thank you. Let's keep, I'll just keep ticking through a few slides. Again, the public will be able to see which course you did and when, and you know, your certificate from this course, which you'll upload. So that's Victoria. So vrsa.com.au, that's where you're going to want to go. South Australia has a slightly different thing. First of all, just to confuse everybody, it's called pre-qualification for individuals in South Australia. So you as an individual become pre-qualified to undertake road safety audits. In all other jurisdictions, pre-qualification is something associated with the company that you work for. And they are pre-qualified, and that's checking, do they have the appropriate insurances, quality management system, all of these other things. So it's more that, are they a legitimate entity if we hire them and they're not going to go bankrupt, and you know, those sorts of things. The pre-qualification in South Australia, though, talks about the individual and their accreditation as a road safety auditor. And then they have a PDF of, as I said, just the senior auditors. But you can apply to become an auditor, but they just won't publish that. And Queensland is on the TMR website, and you see the list there of road safety auditors, and underneath that is the list of senior road safety auditors. You have to scroll down a bit to get to senior road safety auditors. But you don't see any more information apart from this. You can click on one of these people and get more intel. You just got their phone number, their email, and their organisation, their name. So there's sort of three of them. That's the South Australian one where you download a PDF. They just every 3 months or something update their PDF. The rest of them are a bit more interactive. Just be aware there is a different list of heavy vehicle route assessors. That's different. And there is a list of safe system assessors in South Australia and in Victoria now. Okay, any questions on that? Feel free to raise your hand. Happy to answer questions, talk about it. As I say, once you successfully complete this course, you'll be eligible to at least get on that Victorian one. You may be eligible to get on the Queensland one as well, or the South Australian one. You're eligible to get on the South Australian one. Whether you get on the published list would depend on how many audits you've completed and the like.
Just a question, what does it cost to get registered?
Right, great question. Well, because I like all of you, it is free. For everybody else, though, it's also free. Yes, it's free in every jurisdiction at the moment. Whether Austroads decides to step in and have some sort of maybe fee-paying system, and then they have, people paid to manage the system and the like. But at the moment, your state road authority covers any costs associated with that. As long as you got the certificate from this course, you get on for free. And there's no annual fee or anything like that at this stage in any jurisdiction. You just have to fill out a form again every year, or just go in and update some details. Any other questions?
Just another one that's just come in. Is there any way to see prior examples of work from each auditor short of asking them?
No, you'd have to. It would be like engaging any service provider, and the like. You would really just have to ask them for examples of work or referees or the like. There's no central repository of audits. There are, different periodic reviews and things. Some jurisdictions like Western Australia, it's another Western Australian requirement, is you've got to submit your audits every year, and they're reviewed by the panel, and you get feedback on the audit. And actually New South Wales does. I don't think they actually do periodic individual auditor reviews, but certainly upon application, you've got to do some of that. It would just be like engaging a structural engineer or something like that. You're going to ask them, well, what's your past experience? Give me some project examples. Give me some referees. Now, audits are often a smaller dollar value task than something like that. So, it's often, that people get known in the industry as auditors, or companies get known, and then people tend to sort of gravitate towards those. But there's certainly ability for others to step in and show that they have the qualifications and the knowledge, and they can get involved.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you go and do the audit for the Splitter Island?
Did I go? No. I called somebody in Western Australia that was on the ground as an auditor, and I explained how ridiculous I thought this was, and they made time in their busy schedule to undertake that.
That's madness. I did laugh.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's interesting. I think this is a general interesting question, not just for audits, but across the board, is if you become too rigid with stuff, your pool of available providers shrinks down to such a point where, but you want, is that balance between quality and assurance of quality versus availability and just stopping projects, or people just not doing audits, which I think is the worst option, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. All right, that's it for the minute, Ken.
All right. Well, let's have a 3-minute break and just have a stretch and fill up your water and whatever. I'll come back. I'll just whip through a few case study examples and then take you through how to finalize everything for the course. And we'll probably be done before the hour and a half and give you some time to finish off that last quiz and audit. So back in 3 minutes, please.
All right, see you.
Okay. Get back into it. I'll just go through maybe 1 or 2 examples of a few things, and then I'll show you a few things in Moodle just to finish off the course. So let me just share my screen again. Okay. So I suppose always a nice little backstory helps with these examples. A colleague of mine, Jamie Robinson, and I, Jamie got called to go and look at a site, doing, I suppose, an existing condition / post-opening we'll call it, road safety audit of some recent works. And it was quite urgent. And so him and I went out there, and this is what we saw. So you're traveling along this road. It's an 80km/h road. It's been 80km/h for quite a distance. And you're traveling along, and you see there the barrier line, double barrier line, so no overtaking there. And yeah, you go up a little bit further forward. Don't worry about that. That was our old company car on the side there. So that's we're just trying to park it well off the road. So you come up a little bit further, and yeah, you've now got your overtaking opportunity, and you can sort of see something off there in the distance there. Another speed sign, it's a bit hidden, but anyway, you keep moving forward. Yeah, okay. Again, you got something off in the distance. Maybe there's some roadwork, something down at that intersection, and you just come over this crest a little bit more, and okay, hang on, something's appeared here, and that's interesting. And if we go a little bit further forward, okay, so we've got this traffic hazard ahead. So that's an odd sort of setup. Let's go up a little bit further, and we're now quite close to it. So what's going on here? It's been obviously hit lots of times. This was only put in very recently, so I wonder what's going on there. Let's step back a little bit. Okay, we've got here the entry to a new subdivision, and their requirement was to build this right-turn facility and left-turn facility. So you can see the subdivision. If I go back to this photo there, you can see a little bit of it. So why is this getting hit so often, I wonder? What's going on there? And we sort of stood out there and scratched our head and looked at it for a while. And then we finally went, yeah, this is not right. Not right at all. And it's actually upside down, amazingly. It's upside down. So we of course stay out there until it's dark, and then this is how it looks when it's dark. So that's a great thing. Even though there is a light up here, of course the light is not working, just to make it even worse. But yeah, we looked at this, and so if you look at what a right-turn facility like this should be, you see there that you have the vehicles approaching that have the turn facility. These are the vehicles that deviate around them as much as you possibly can. The vehicles coming from this direction, you try to keep as straight as you possibly can, if possible. And also the line marking is set up in that way. You should not be able to overtake on the approach to these facilities, but as soon as you are past the facility, if overtaking is appropriate, that's where the overtaking opens up. So let's go back to that one. So you can see that it's the wrong way around. So this one is having to do this large deviation around it. The line marking's the wrong way around, and it is a funny deviation in here as well. Yeah, so we think that it was just sort of take the right turn facility in the design and sort of turn it over and push it in. And you sort of go, well, why? Why is this being done? And anyway, then we realized, well, of course, the services are going to all be running along here, aren't they? Underneath there, whether it's the gas or the whatever it is. And so it would be expensive to widen this out here, as you would need relocate the services in order to get that facility. But anyway, so it's an interesting one. It's one where we did use the intolerable risk card, which, as I said, that extreme intolerable risk, highest risk rating, I'm pretty rare with its use. Probably only a handful of times in my career, due to the fact that, you know, if you play that out, it's going to have people killed and seriously injured, you know, essentially every 6 months. But this one, obviously the amount of times it was being hit, in its immediate opening, the really odd configuration to it. Imagine also if you had been driving along behind a truck for 5 kilometres, you finally get your overtaking opportunity and you start overtaking, you know, you're on the wrong side of this thing. The fact that also it sat there as a pedestrian refuge, there was no lighting, you know, there was just lots going on that was bad for it. Now, I bring it up because I think it's interesting example. It's something that you look at and you shake your head. But, you know, it got built and it was open to the public. And the process fell over significantly. And there's probably many reasons why the process fell over. And there should have been auditing done to pick this up in the design, which obviously didn't happen. And yeah, once you're auditing at pre-opening stage, well, you can immediately see the costs are going to be big because they're going to have to immediately rectify and rip this out and do other things. So getting in early at those design phases is good. If you're in any sort of road authority where you're part of the management of these sort of processes, early auditing helps to make sure nothing like this ever slips through. To be honest, surprised it slipped through the surveillance officer or the like, that they wouldn't have picked that up. But yeah, anyway, there you go. Interesting example. Did anybody have any comments on that, Catherine?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen such a dog's breakfast before. That's a really shocking situation, isn't it? There's, yeah, the crest, the 80 to a 60, the realignment there to get into the subdivision. Oh, it's got everything going on.
Yeah, and surprisingly, it's an arterial road too. It's not a local government road. So
yeah, and like it's the 60 reduction just before the left turn.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's wrong with it. Just a few observations. Did you happen to get a photo from the minor road, Ken, and what the sight lines would have been like?
From the minor road, we did get photos, and I don't have them on these slides. They had to be in the archive. Yeah, the sight lines weren't great. That configuration was weird too. So yeah, more challenges.
Yeah, the approaches to the island should not have been overtaking. Yeah, some good points here. Severe deflection for through traffic. Yes,
it's a real lateral shift. Over far too big a lateral shift for anybody.
And then at night, someone just mentioned it would have been even worse.
Yep. It really was. So, okay. Well, there's just an example just to show you again sort of the ways audits can assist, but you hope that it would never actually get to this point. Now, I see a longer couple coming in. Let me have a quick read of this. Not related, but Ken has mentioned a few times. Having extreme risk rating is rarely used because it generally remains episode 12 months or more. Just hoping for some more discussion on that, because the matrix still puts unlikely 3 to 7 year likelihood event there if the severity is fatal with better impact 6. Yeah. So no, it's a good point Matt brings up. So the time frame doesn't quite get you out to I suppose not being able to, well, it's still directing you slightly to higher risk ratings potentially, but you remember you do have the ability to think that it's not going to happen past that. So 7+ years or the like. In fact, I should just bring up the risk rating table and we can have a bit more of a chat about it. As I mentioned, I always like to go back, all the way back to, sorry, let me jump out of this. All the way back to thinking about what, sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once here, it doesn't work. There's no risk. Catherine, you seeing the risk rating table there?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, good. So I think if you work slightly backwards, to me, it finds me sort of tempering risks down. Now, in this new one, I should probably also say that the past risk rating matrix had only a smaller few intolerable risks instead of the extreme risks. So it was actually a smaller entity of those. This extreme will pop out potentially a little bit more than I have been talking about in my career because of, and I think that's exactly what Matt's sort of mentioning, the fact that it is that 7-year unlikely 3 to 7 years. But remember, we're talking about the crash happening as a result of that issue that you're identifying. So if you were to say that the sign is, the sign is slightly angled the wrong way or something like that, you've got to say, well, how much is that issue influencing a particular crash type that you're thinking about, and is it going to make it so that crash happens, once every 1 to 3 years at that severity? Now, if you think about most intersections in Victoria, we're having, and I'm talking an intersection of reasonable volume, 2 intersecting roads of reasonable volume, really big, massive arterial road intersections have, a serious injury per year, maybe. It's not great, but that's possibly what you'd be seeing on some of these massive ones. Lower order ones, maybe, in 5 years you get a serious injury if there's deficiencies and these sorts of things. But we're not seeing once every 1 to 3 years we're seeing serious injuries or fatalities on many spots due to one specific thing. I'm not sure I'm explaining this particularly well, but I think the way you can do it is say, that's the issue I found. If they build it like that, how many deaths and serious injuries will be there? If they fix it, how many deaths and serious injuries will be there? What's the difference and what's the time frame for a death and serious injury? And I tend to find that I'm down here a lot. It still might come out as high risk, medium risk, but hopefully that helps to clarify a little bit. Yeah, Matt, tell us if you need more info on that. We're happy to chat further at some point. So back on that other one, somebody was just sort of saying, yeah, well, whoever approved the design, yes, agree with that. So there's some issues there. As a road authority and the like, road safety audits provide you another level of insurance in that sense. Yes, you've done your own design reviews, but now you've got somebody else, an independent set of eyes to do that review as well. I think I had a couple of other little examples. I think it's probably a good time for me to just show through Moodle the last sort of bits and pieces. So I'll just use my second screen on this one. Okay, Catherine, can you see Moodle there?
Yeah, I can see that, Ken.
Great. Okay, so you're in here, then you'll be seeing, you won't need the links to the webinars and things. So in this folder here, we're going to put the research assignments. And once again, well done to everybody on those research assignments. There's one or two still coming in. So we're going to load those all up soon. Catherine, can you take a note that we've got to load them up? But thank you once again. And gee, I had a few laughs in there, and I really enjoyed going through those. So thanks again. But they'll be in there. We'll let you know when they're in there, so you can go in and have a look at other people's cartoons or little videos and these sorts of things. Of course, you've got the resources there from the different modules, and you'll get down here. This is our last module. You do have a quiz. It's currently in module 6 quiz, but it's in module 5 part of that. We'll have to fix that up. But you've got one more quiz to do, which covers a whole lot of stuff, over the whole course, just to check that you really got your head around this road safety auditing thing from a process perspective. Then you need to submit your road safety audit through this bit, and add your submission, drop it in there, submit it, and then once it's marked and we're happy with it, if you pass, you will then have to put in your course feedback, and then the certificate will release. You will also get in the post the certificate. As soon as you've completed all that, they'll pack your hard copy of the certificate in the post with any prizes you've won along the way, and that'll arrive Australia Post, it might arrive a good few weeks later, but it'll be in the post. But you'll have an electronic copy of the certificate while you wait. So it's going to require you to finish off all quizzes, submit the last assignments. If you don't get that 80% requirement off the audit, you'll get feedback and you'll be asked to resubmit. And so you can do that. You're always welcome to talk, get in contact with Catherine or myself if you want to talk through any of the issues, if you're having trouble with it. But most of you seem to have really got your head around it. I think you did a wonderful job with those. The 360-degree, practice writing the audit little exercise, did really well there. And I think you'll be doing pretty well on this one as well. So I'll probably I'll do a few wrap-up words and think of any final questions you've got, but I do want to give you a few minutes to get in and finish off some of those quizzes. So, but really, to wrap up from me, first of all, I'll thank Catherine for being part of this and being behind the scenes and facilitating and the like. Thank you, Catherine.
It's been fun.
I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to undertake this course. And I think it's so important that we do have a lot of people exposed to road safety issues, road safety auditing, and really looking at the network and the designs and the work we do through a road safety lens. And it does take time out of all those urgent things that need to be done, but it is so important. So you've done well, and really thank you for taking that time to do it. And I think when you get that certificate, and if you register on one of the registers, great. If not, you've still got the certificate. You've been through this process. You understand it. As road safety auditors, I think you've got an extra responsibility. I think you are all passionate about road safety before this course, but I think there's that extra level of now responsibility of identifying things and reporting them. Obviously, you're not going to, every low risk, medium risk issue you see out there on the road network be reporting, because that's all you'll do for your whole life is just be reporting these issues. But if you're seeing on the public road network these things you're categorizing as high risk or intolerable risk, we really have a responsibility to alert the responsible road authority to those and have them looked at and addressed. And really in your professional work and whatever you're doing, there's always that opportunity to integrate this into your thinking and also to ensure that good processes are within your organization's way of operating. And as I say, the Austroads Guide has some really good, easy information available. I'm always happy to share with you, flick over, different policies or things we've got on file, help you out with samples of different things. So get in contact, keep in contact as you go through auditing or managing audits or whatever you want. And if you want to see examples of audits on different things, let me know. Or if you're dealing with a particularly tricky topic and you want to see, do I know of anybody who's dealt with this or anything about this, quick email. I'll, worst can happen is I flick a note back saying never dealt with this at all. But usually I'm able to either point you at a report or somebody who's faced something similar or help out that way. So please do keep in contact. And yeah, thank you so much again for getting involved.
There's one really good question there for you, Ken. Yeah.
I'm sure seeing, post-construction, how can you switch off from auditing when you're driving around as a regular driver? I don't. I love a road trip because I'm constantly looking, thinking about things and noting things, and probably takes double the time because I'm stopping and taking photos and different things like that. I think, as I mentioned there, it's important to just, some of them you just go, that's not great. We could think about that at a program perspective and those sort of things. Some of them you look at and you just go, no, this has to be fixed now. This is your intolerable high risk stuff. And that's when I will actually pick up the phone and call one of my friends in the road authority or somebody and just say, hey, can you pop this into the system? But yeah, it is. So that's a good point there. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. We got some more questions or things popping in.
Yeah, another one from Rosie there, Ken.
Any advice about providing a risk rating for a higher severity event occurs less frequently, but a lower severity event may occur more frequently? Which would you pick? I tend towards the high severity one, and that sort of safe system philosophy is what I'd be trying to highlight, the higher severity, lower frequency one. The risk matrix, it has a bit of, I suppose, common sense integrated into it as well. You will often be able to pick which you're more concerned about out of those two. As I say, my aim is to eliminate death and serious injury off the network. I'm okay if the panel beaters stay in business. Now, I don't want those little prangs to happen, but I'll live with that. I really want to just hit those serious injury and fatal crashes and get them out of the way our network operates. So yeah, I'd lean towards that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Jump in, finish off those quizzes, keep in contact. You'll be sent out a little bit more, a few links and a few other things, a thank you email, but do keep in contact with us. Make sure if you're struggling with anything, get in contact in order to finish off this course. We want to make sure you get through and get out there and promote your road safety auditing qualifications or the fact that you've done this course. Feel free to, put your certificate on social media or wherever you do those things. Say, because we want people to know you have those skills, you have that ability, you have the ability to assist. You're somebody who's passionate about road safety. So put it out there. Feel free to tag me or or the company or whatever, and we'll certainly share it. And yeah, congratulations again. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Catherine.
you. Bye. Thanks, Ken. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.